Happy October! This month is full of wonderful things, most people celebrate, from pumpkin lattes, ghosts, horror stories, horror movies, and so on. If you're like many people, horror is their thing. But have you ever wondered what this specific day in October is? Yes, we are talking about the 31st, the day of All Hallows Eve, also known as Halloween. In today's episode, we are going to deep dive into the day that a lot of people enjoy, even going as far as decorating their own house full of Halloween decorations. Ooh.
I definitely don't find this holiday to be sorry. Here you goes. Okay. Oh God. I definitely don't find this holiday to be wonderful, as I'm sure others don't either. With a holiday like today, millions of family gather together to trick-or-treat until their tummies ache. But does anyone even know how these traditions came about? Well, we're about to gather some information, and if you're ready, let's talk about it. You're muted.
You can still hear me, right? I
I think you're probably too close.
love you. Hi, my loves.
Hi, Boo Boo.
Hope you have your drinks ready.
You know I do. I chose the healthy route this time. I have flavored water. What are you drinking?
I have Coke Zero.
I haven't had soda all year.
I haven't had soda in a while, so I was like, oh, let me have some soda today. So
My body rejects soda.
Okay, so Halloween, also known as All Hallows Eve, All Hallows Day, and All Souls Day, a day that's mostly done for 3 days in certain countries, and it's known mostly as All Hallows Tie. I'm not too informed on it. I don't really know the origin of Halloween, but I did do a little bit of digging. But I'm gonna let you go first, Tony, because I'm pretty sure you have a lot more than I do on this topic.
I definitely did find out more than I thought I knew. And there was a lot of things that I unlearned that I thought was proper. So it came a little shocking to me as well. But I do have some information here.
Okay.
The Halloween customs that we have today literally became what it is throughout the years of people just adding their own spin to this holiday. Fun fact, Halloween is the second most celebrated holiday in America, with families spending nearly close to billions of dollars. As of today, Halloween is really known as an American holiday than it is anywhere else in the world. Us Americans are the only ones that celebrate it to such an extent, investing in decoration, costumes, candy, and anything else that you can think of that people would spend on Halloween Day.
That is so weird. I would have thought that, Thanksgiving and Christmas would be up there more than Halloween.
I would think that Thanksgiving was a little bit more expensive in the sense that we're buying food, and food is definitely not cheap.
Yeah.
But with people being more informed of our history to the nitty gritty of finding out things that actually happened to the indigenous people, so they no longer want to partake in the festival of being grateful, of finding like America.
Okay. I think we're the only ones that celebrate Thanksgiving too, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody else celebrates it because it's a celebration of finding the American land.
Okay.
So you won't go to any other continent, it won't be celebrated. They probably have their own, but it's definitely not Thanksgiving and definitely not the same day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
The way that we celebrate the holiday today has no resemblance on how it started back in the days. During the Iron Age, which was 12,000 BC all the way to 600 BC, by a group of people known as the Celts. Where they resided back in the days, it could be known as today as Spain and Turkey. The Irish was the one that hosted this festival, and in the English language is pronounced as Samhain, but is written out Sarwin, but due to the way we pronounce our words, that's how it would be said. This is what we, the active Christians, would consider to be a pagan holiday. They celebrated in honoring the ending of summer and the welcoming of winter.
During the autumn equinox and the winter solstice, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Basically, like our autumn was the what you mentioned. Mm-hmm.
What you
equinox.
Yeah.
Aquafina. Let me see. Roman Catholics began conquering their lands, and to win the people over so that they wouldn't be so hostile towards them, they had allowed them to continue celebrating their holidays. But the only way that it was allowed was that they had to dedicate it to Yahweh, which is the one true God, and not the gods of the pagans. Because pagans, they believed that everything was a god, in the sense that, you had the tree god, and you had the air god, and the moon god,
so
and
they
the sun
believe
god.
in deities.
Yeah,
like multiple gods.
Yeah. So when the Catholics did conquer them, it was like, hey, you could continue practicing what you practice, but do it all in the name of the Lord instead of it being in the name of your gods.
Which is odd because it's like, okay, let me take your customs and go ahead and make it into our customs, Like, that's weird.
But the Christians did that with other holidays as well. And two that we know really is Easter and Christmas. It's the same thing that they did with Halloween. The only difference is that Christmas, we celebrate it as if it was Jesus's birthday. Even the rumor is that Jesus was born within that equinox that you said.
Okay, autumn equinox.
Yeah, it's in that time frame, more or less, like the way that it's described in the Bible, but they made it the focus of Jesus, and that's how come a lot of Christians celebrate that and not Easter or Halloween. Because if you think about it, the traditions of these two holidays, Easter and Halloween, there is no focus of Christ in it. Christ is not in there. It's all like evil spirits,
Right.
So that's the reason as to why we don't celebrate it, but we do celebrate and partake in this pagan one, because the focus was then reversed or, switched to the Christ. Switched over to Christ. And then we just celebrate him like that. I also found out the Catholics do participate in that 3-day thing that you did mention. But the one that Catholics celebrate knowing as All Saint Days used to be called La Munia. If I might be saying that wrong. That the pagans did partake in, and then they switched it over. And the Catholics would then dress up after saints to, like as a remembrance, like a Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah. Yeah.
But instead of it being like family members and stuff, it was basically dedicated to the quote unquote saints. But the Celts back in the days, they would dress up as demons and ghosts to try to blend in with the dead in fear that they would be attacked by these spiritual beings. Because it was believed that there was a thin layer that keeps the dead away from the living, but on October 31st, supposedly they were able to like come through or transfer over, fly over, whatever, to the side of the living. So the reason they would dress up as the dead is so that I guess they can confuse the dead and have them believe that they were not alive.
I know Ireland, they do that. Like, I mean, not that specific thing, but they believe that during, autumn, by the end of, Halloween, like basically on October, by the end of October to the beginning of November, like that the veil is weakened,
That's what I meant by the thin. When I said the thin thing that they could transfer through, I meant the veil.
Okay. Yeah, like the veil is weakened, and like the souls that are basically in what is that word called?
Purgatory.
Purgatory, yeah.
Yes,
Purgatory.
I did not even know that was a thing. Okay? I never heard of purgatory. Let me just interject real quick. I found out that purgatory is a teaching from the Roman Catholic doctrine. And it's a place of suffering inhabited by souls of sinners who are expediting their sins before going to heaven. I never knew that because in the regular Bible, that's not something that's spoken about. So that's only something that's believed in and practiced in the Catholic faith.
I'm going to be honest, when I heard about
Purgatory.
Sorry for botching the word, but when I first heard of it, it was when I was watching an episode of Supernatural, and they brought it up a lot. So I did digging on it because I didn't know what it was, So I did my research on it and stuff like that. So then I was like,
I
oh, okay, so it's basically a waiting room, you
I
know?
yeah, basically, right? Yeah, that's what is
Yeah.
the best way to describe it. But I never knew. I don't even think like if I heard it, it probably went over my head. But I never knew. I never, of my acknowledgement, even heard of this word. So
Right.
yesterday, when I was doing some last minute research, is when I found out, and I was like, "What?" And I went straight to Google, and I'm like, "Define the word purgatory," and that's where I was able to get the definition from it because I didn't even know. So that was
Okay.
something that I learned. You know how they say every day you learn something. I learned that
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, that's crazy. But no, like the veil loosens on October, you know, toward the middle of, you know, the 31st to the 1st of November. It basically it you know, it fades or whatever, I guess, like this dissipate, I would have to say. And then the you know, the soul from purgatory comes through and they travel to two realms. You know, they travel
Okay.
from the demon realm onto the actual fairy realm, and then they come into our world.
Oh
Isn't
my
that
god.
crazy?
I mean, I
That's
would
what Ireland
definitely.
believes.
I would if I was from that time. I would definitely think I'll be putting on a mask too. I'm not even playing. Like if this is all I knew, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll be like trick or treat where? Who? No, I'm with them. Oh, speaking of trick or treating, did you know that trick or treating didn't begin the way that it is?
I heard that. Well, when I read, I don't know when they're gonna heard because nobody told me. But when I read, I heard that. Well, read that they used to get little like soul cakes and take them door to door, knocking on the door and praying for the deceased of the person that they
No,
went
that's
to, and then in exchange, you know, they would get soul cakes and then exchange for prayers, basically.
well, what I read was that that's how Christmas caroling became. Where you know how
Ooh.
like Christmas carols, they go to your door, they sing, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and then it's just like boom, here you go, here's some change. And I heard that through the what you mentioned, you know, like the kids going to the doors, knocking, and it's just like, hey, we'll pray for your lost brother or your uncle or whoever. Feed me these cakes, you know. And as time went on, it's turned to where they was doing Christmas caroling and knocking on people's doors and singing for them so that they could be able to get tips, I guess, because they don't get paid by the hour.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay.
I mean, oh my god. Well, yeah, I heard it because I was watching YouTube, so I heard it. Yeah. I was gonna say, no, wait, that was based off of my research. No, I heard it.
But I heard it was re-abolished. This whole like all the words, all the because they remember they were like all Hallows Eve, All Hallows Day, Souls Day, and all that other like they had all these names for it, but then like the church, I like the Catholic Church was like no, like there's no such thing as, you know, souls coming from the heaven, you know, and visiting your home. If anything, those are demons, you know. So they went ahead and they asked Queen Elizabeth if she could just go ahead and just, you know, cut it, and they like literally abolish it. And the only thing that was left was All Souls Day. That's what I got from my information.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I
and that's
barely
how
know
it
what's
became.
happening in America. I'm gonna know even
Yeah,
less
and it
about it in
became
Europe.
it was called Elizabeth's Reform. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for trick or treating, though, based off of my research, right, it was first known as Mischief Day. And that's when kids
Okay.
went around causing mayhem to the people. Okay. And what they would do is it would be something like what you said about, you know, going and asking for the soul cakes in return for having prayer for those who are in purgatory.
Yeah.
But if the person refused to give them any soul cakes, or if they even refused, like, oh, no, it's fine, I don't need you to pray for my, you know, relative or whatever, it was supposed to say that if the person refused, the one who opened the door, karma was going to have their way. But at some year, these kids were very impatient. And what they decided to do was to take karma into their own hands. And there was this one thing that I heard, that these little kids went, took someone's pool wagon and took it apart, climbed their roof, and then built it back on the roof, leaving the owner of that home having to find a way to get up there and bring down the wagon. It was things like that, or they would egg your house. They would
Wow.
toilet paper, and that's how like the T-Peen thing came about. Like they would literally, it's like, give us our treat, or you're gonna get a trick. And that's literally where the term came from. It wasn't even just something like, oh, just trick or treat, like, oh, it's cute. And the people in the neighborhood one day gathered around, like the adults, obviously, and they were like, okay, we have to do something because these kids are, causing mayhem. And they decided that they should just go around and bribe them. And literally, like when the kids came, if they didn't have these cakes, it was just like, hey, I got some candy. You want some candy? What about an apple? Like I could give you this instead. And then
I would do it. Like I would be like on some, I don't want you to egg my house. I don't want you to put a snake on my door. Here's some candy.
Yeah. And it even went to the point where they were inviting them in. It's like, hey, do you want to watch a movie? And then little by little, it became like a party, and they would host like a town halls party, or like, I guess what we have today, like block parties and things like that. And then all the kids would be able to go and stuff their face and do everything like that, and then just go home. But that's how all of that came about. And I was like, this is interesting. But then again, we get pissed off when people knock on our door. And back in the days, they were waking up with their wagons on their roof, And it's just like, we got it good.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God.
But basically, that's all that I was able to get on my behalf without like grabbing like the god names, the goddesses names and things like that. But I didn't deep dive all the way. So I don't know if you have anything that I didn't mention that people should know about.
No, I covered everything that was to cover while you were, when we were conversing. I was like, oh, this is what I found, So, that's basically all I had.
Oh, I think there was this, let me see. The Irish people that came to America after Halloween became what it is, brought this thing called guying, Geying.
Dying?
Guying.
Oh, what is that?
And that was brought in between the 1920s to the 1930s, where, you know how when you see it on TV, especially like a lot in New York City, you got these street performers. Mm-hmm. So they would perform, they would do plays, they would do dances, they were, or sing, like caroling and things like that, in exchange for money or food. And it's because like when those kids came, they came and their family was poor. So basically that's how they went and they made money. And then that's another thing that they said that, basically the people of today took those type of traditions and made it their own. So even though that happened within that harvest time where the cold was coming and things like that, they would do that so they could stack up their house with as much food as they possibly could, or if they got little change and stuff like that, they can buy whatever their family needed. But today, that's what a lot of people do, especially in New York. You can see them in the streets, you can see them in the train station. They just perform, and in exchange for their performance, people, they tip them. They give them like $1, $5, $10, 20 cents, 10 cents, sometimes even a penny, or they just give them food. And that's how they have like a source of income.
Okay.
So guying and doing the soul's prayer basically resemble one another, but the tactic was different. Like one is like, I'll pray for your family, you feed me. This was like, hey, look, I'm performing, I can juggle. Give me some money.
Right.
And basically that's what we have for today now, where it's just like you have the street performers and then you have Christmas caroling. Even though in all my years of living, I've never had somebody knock on my door wanting to wish me a Merry Christmas.
Me neither. I've seen it on movies.
Yeah, like
in movies, and I thought that would be like, it'd be cool, and stuff like that. But I've never, like, personally in real life, like now, I would not. I never had anybody come into my door wishing me a Merry Christmas.
I never had it either. I think I would be annoyed though. We were talking about this yesterday. If they showed up at my door, like the movie Christmas and the Cranks. No, Cranks. Yeah, Christmas.
Yeah.
Cranks Christmas. What was it?
Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks. You know how they were there, like following them around?
Yeah.
If that was to happen.
That was hilarious. I love that movie.
I think I will put water on my sidewalk as well, you know. But if they just came around like just one day out of the whole entire year, I think that would be something that's cute and I would look forward to.
You know that in Ireland, like they used to like what they use for jack-o'-lanterns, what the purpose of it is?
I heard a story about it, but I don't know it 100%.
Okay, so jack-o'-lanterns are just specifically are protectors. They protect your home from demons. That's what Ireland used.
Really?
And then the thing is, they didn't use jack-o'-lanterns back in the day. They were actually using turnips to ward off demons from their homes. But then as time went on, they went ahead and decided to do jack-o'-lanterns instead.
A turnip?
Yeah, turnip.
I can't imagine a turnip. I'm sorry.
I don't know how else I could carve it, but
Right? That's cool though. You know, like doing research is really not as bad as I thought it was when I was growing up because now I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not know.
yeah.
I did not know. And I was like, yeah, now you do know.
And it's just to war off demons. So
And a turnip, like how would a turnip war off demons?
I have no idea. I didn't look straight into that. I didn't deep dive into that. But I was like, oh, that's a fun fact. You know, jack-o'-lanterns originally were turnips in Ireland.
That's cool. That's literally something cool. Like, I don't know if I will ever try it, but it's cool to just know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
turnip. Oh, and another thing.
Go ahead.
Another thing that I forgot to mention, when they were doing these 3 days, like what you mentioned, it was like all Hallows Eve, Hallows Day, Souls Days and stuff like that. Well, back in the days, they used to light up fire. I forgot to mention that. They used to light up like this, it was like a big bonfire. And it was one to keep them warm because the sun was already starting to go down earlier than what they were accustomed to. But it was also so like if your soul went to the other side, you can be able to find your way back by looking for that light. Yeah.
I heard that people would put candles in their houses, like candles, and then they would leave like actual food on the table for the souls that returned.
But that's for the Halloween thing, or that's from like in the Iron Days? Because the one I'm talking about is the Iron Days.
The Iron Days, yeah. Now they would
Okay.
leave food on their tables for the souls that returned, you know, for that specific day. But my thing is like how ghosts don't even eat, or if there are, you know, like demons don't even eat. So
I mean, they eat my patience. They feast off of my patience. But
it's kind of
yeah.
odd to leave a plate. Like imagine the space, like la peste, like the smell that.
But
you
I
would wake
think
up
that
to
was
in the
probably
morning.
just like those 3 days it was probably out and then they would just get rid of it. Like, oh, you didn't want my sandwich? Basura. Like now you get nothing. And then my thing is like, they're gonna wait a whole year just to feast on one day, and does that keep them satisfied?
I don't know. I don't know. I have questions.
Yeah, definitely. What other questions do you have?
Okay, loves, I have some questions for you. What Halloween tradition did you grow up doing? If you have dressed up for Halloween, what did you dress up as? If you found any of these facts to be interesting, which one was your favorite? Me personally, learning about Ireland's customs. What was yours, Tony?
Purgatory. I did not know. I didn't even know. I was such an illiterate to that. I did not know. It was the smallest fact there, but the fact that I didn't know about it had me like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you gonna dress up this year?
No. I stopped doing Halloween as I'm starting to learn all these stuff, you know? So I do kind of celebrate it, and not celebrate it, but I do kind of like go ahead and put like a centerpiece of decoration on my table
Okay.
just because I'm accustomed to doing so, like, you know, decorating my house, you know? But other than that, I'm starting slowly to move away from that.
What I do here, because I do it for myself. The kids just tend to follow. But I do watch Hocus Pocus, and I watch The Nightmare Before Christmas. I turn off all the lights in my living room. I sit my butt down on that couch, and I turn it on, and I watch it. And then I eat candy, but I don't eat any candy that has any Halloween decor on it. So it's like, if Frankenstein is there, skeleton is there, I don't buy it. It's like, give me the original. You could keep that one. And it's not a religious thing. Nothing. And it's not a religious thing. It's not something that they told me not to do in church. It's just, I guess, like a preference of mine, you know?
Yeah. I totally get it.
Okay.
I don't eat candy like that. I'm not a really sugar monster, so.
I used to be. I'm not.
I used to love scaring people. Honestly, I used to dress up and scare people, you know, while they try to reach for the candy on my lap, you know. But
I would have hated you.
But you know, as you know, like I said, as days went by, I just was like, eh.
Yeah, the last time I ever dressed up was back in 2008. That was in, and my kids
It's
was
been a
in
long time
2009.
since I dressed up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, let us know down in the comment section or send us an email. We have our link in the description box below. We would love to hear your responses to the questions that Aya asked earlier. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Chitty Chat Chit Chat Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.